Welcome to Wednesday Wanderings. My name is Mark Long, rector of the parish of St Andrew in Newlands, Cape Town. One of today's readings in our lection for the Eucharist comes from Acts chapter 20, verses 28 to 38, and it's Paul's farewell to the community of Ephesus. And as one reads the passage, one becomes aware that Paul is quite emotional in saying farewell. And it speaks to, I think, the depth of relationship that he has built up in that community and with the people of that community. And an important reminder for myself, and hopefully for you too, that really critical to our faith is the gift of relationship. So much of what we're called into is the fullness of relationship with God, fullness of relationship with each other, fullness of relationship with life. And so much of even Paul's teaching and the journey of Acts speaks to this fullness of life. And the call that is upon us to really embrace that and to live that and to make it real for other people. But we can only make it real when we actually allow relationship to be the oil of our faith, to grease the joints of our faith, and in a sense to make it is relationship that makes our faith real. As church, we obviously hold to doctrines and teachings and various understandings of the way we believe God works and has worked and always has worked and perhaps even always will work in our contexts. We are quite judgmental, I think, of each other in terms of whether we think people are holding to an orthodox perspective or a heretical perspective. Go back to the Inquisition and other issues. Clearly, the church has felt hugely strongly about that over time. But actually, when it comes down to it, it really is the gift of relationship that makes our faith deeply meaningful. David Whyte, who I quoted briefly in my sermon on Sunday, poet and philosopher, David Whyte speaks of the importance of us moving from abstract conversation to real conversation. And that is a space, as I said on Sunday, that we move from being kind of when we get caught up in the abstract nature of our faith. That's so often where we create deep hurt in people's lives. It's where we seem to actually move away from the purposes of God for us and for our world. But when we enter into real conversation and really grapple with the issues of the day and the issues of relationship and the issues of life, it is a place of healing and hope. And so my encouragement to all of us today is to find ways to really embrace every opportunity that we have to seek to really build our faith on relationship and to seek to have good relationship in that journey. That's not to say we shouldn't follow some of the scriptural injunctions to ensure that we're holding to the truth. I'm not suggesting in any way we should throw all of that out the window, but I am suggesting that we should allow people and the relationships that we share with each other to be primary in our journey of sharing faith, in particular with the world in which we live. I'm very conscious in terms of meeting people who are not churched, that there's a perception that the church has some very concretized ideas of which it's unwilling to shift or move, and that the church is seen to be quite judgmental in many ways. And so it's you and I in our daily relational interaction with others that actually open up often a path for others into relationship with God and into relationship with the people of God. But it's only as we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, it's only as we allow ourselves to reach out that God is really able to work most powerfully in and through us. That prayer at the end of our Eucharist in the Anglican Prayer Book 1989, where we just offer ourselves, we make ourselves vulnerable to God. We speak of ourselves as living sacrifices available to the purposes of God. And so my prayer is, may you live that Sunday commitment out, that Sunday commitment to being that living sacrifice, to vulnerability, to God, and to God's people, and to God's world.